Distinguished guests, friends, family who are here, who came to stand with us as we commemorate the lives of our loved ones who were killed in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, thrown in rivers, lakes, and eventually ended here.
Nitwa Karanda Marisolange, nubatse umugabo n'abana bane.
My name is Rwanda Genoide. I am married and I have 4 children.
Ubuhamya bwanjye bw'inzira y'umusaraba nanyuzemo bukubiye mu byiciro bitatu.
My testimony, or what we call the journey of the cross, is in 3 parts.
Icyiciro cya mbere ya jenoside uko twari tubayeho.
The first part is the life before the genocide and how we lived.
Jenoside ni umugambi wari warateguwe, yewe ntabwo mpamanya n'abavuga yuko yabaye kubera ihanurwa ry'indege ya Habyarimana.
The genocide was carefully planned, and therefore I disagree with those who say that the genocide was sparked by the shooting of the plane of President Habyarimana.
Mbere ya jenoside hera twiga muri primaire, mpamvu mvuga ko ari umugambi wari warateguwe. Jewe naje kumenya ko ndi umututsi ngeze mu wa gatatu primaire.
The reason why I say the genocide was well planned is because back then, even when we were children, I came to know that I was a Tutsi when I was in primary 3.
Kera twiga amashuri bajyaga baduhagurutsa bakavuga abakobwa b'Abatutsi muhaguruke, ab'Abahutu muhaguruke.
I remember in class they would say all the Tutsi girls rise, all the Hutu girls rise.
Hanyuma kubera ko njyewe ntari nzi icyo ndicyo babanje kuvuga Abahutu ndahaguruka. Bityo wari umwarimu wacu ahita ambwira wowe wicara uri umututsi.
So because I didn't know who I was, I rose when they called out the Hutu girls in the class, and the teacher said, "You are a Tutsi girl, so please take your seat."
Noneho nza kubona mbona abana turi kumwe batangiye kumpaka.
So my classmates started shouting when they saw me rise or sit as a Tutsi girl.
Nageze mu rugo mbaza papa ndamubwira se turabaki.
I remember going back home and asking my father, "Who are we?"
Hanyuma arambwira ati se kubera iki? Ndamubwira njyewe nahagurutse bavuze ngo Abahutu n'Abatutsi, mpaguruka mu Bahutu, mwarimu ngo nicaye njyewe n'umututsi, abanyeshuri batangira kumpaka.
I remember my father asking me, "Why are you asking who we are?" Then I told him what had happened at school. When they called out Hutu girls to stand, I stood, and the teacher asked me to sit down, and then my classmates were shouting.
Hanyuma papa arambwira ati ibyo byihorere.
My father told me not to pay attention to any of that.
Dongera ngeze mu mwaka wa 4 niho naje kubabara cyane. Ndibuka twari baduha exam baradukosora twandikiraga ku mbaho.
I remember when we went to the next class, which was primary 4, something happened that deeply hurt me. I remember we used to write on blackboards.
Mwarimu wanyigishaga yari umudamu afata urubaho rwanjye abishyiraho 0.
And my teacher was a woman, was a lady, so she took my board and put 0. She graded me 0.
Hagaruko nari umuswa.
Not to mean that I was not smart enough in class.
Yararufashe ararundaga cyane arurenza umuhanda rwa akana hepfo arabwa ngo ninje kurutoragura.
She threw my board across the street and told me to go and pick it.
Ngiye kurutoragura ngenda gahoro arambwira ati dore uko bigenda agatsinda bigenda bikururuka.
And she came and saw how I was walking slowly and said, "Look at how they walk slowly."
Arambwira ati n'ubundi nzoka niko mwabaye.
And then she said, "Snakes crawl."
Ngeze mu rugo nabajije ababyeyi ndabwira ko nababajije ubwoko bwanjye mukanga kubumbwira mwarimu nawe bakaba yongeye kubimbwira ni ukubera iki mwabaye abatutsi.
So this time I went back home and I told my parents, I asked you who we are and you told me not to pay attention, but this time round the teacher said that we walk or we crawl as snakes. So why were you born Tutsi?
Ababyeyi barababaye ariko se bansobanurira.
My parents were hurt, but they still didn't explain to me.
Bityo nkajya mbona mu ishuri dukomeza gutotezwa.
So in school we would always be tormented.
Nihuse cyane rero ubuhamya bwanjye ni burebure, reka mba mpeneye aho ngaho noneho ninjire mu gikorwa nyirizina cya jenoside.
My testimony is very long, but let me go now straight to the genocide itself.
Jenoside yabaye mfite imyaka 16.
The genocide took place when I was 16 years old.
Ndibuka ku itariki 7 indege ya Habyarimana yahanutse.
On the 7th of April, when the airplane that had President Habyarimana was shot down.
Njye ntabwo nari nabaye mu rugo, nari nagiye kuraza amasenge ariko yaratuye bugufi aho ngaho.
I hadn't spent the night at my parents' house. I was at my auntie's house, but she was our neighbor.
Narazindutse mu gitondo nza mu rugo nsanga ababyeyi bicaye hanze ku muryango mbona bahindutse bigunze.
I came quickly in the morning and went to find my parents sitting in front of our house, but something had changed about their demeanor.
Ntabwo nari nzi ibyabaye.
I didn't know what was happening.
Narababajije se ko ndeba mu babaye habaye iki.
I asked them, you seem to be troubled. What happened?
Barambwira bati Habyarimana yapfuye.
And they told me Habyarimana is dead.
Njyewe rero nk'umuntu w'umwana numvaga kuba yapfuye ntacyo bitwaye, narabashubije.
As a child, I didn't see the weight of his death, so I responded to them.
Narababwiye nimba yapfuye ntacyo bitwaye bashyireho undi.
And I said, if he's dead, let them elect another president to replace him.
Ababyeyi barambwiye bati ko nta kundi nyine kuva Habyarimana yapfuye natwe turapfa.
And my parents said, if Habyarimana is dead, we are going to die following him.
Njyewe nk'umwana nkumva ari ibintu bitamfasheho.
As a child, it didn't make sense.
Okay, byarakomeje ubwo ngubwo burakeye ku itariki 8 ndamanuka twari tuyivomero ndagenda njya kuvoma.
On the 8th, the next day, I went to fetch water.
Hanyuma amasanga umugabo twari turanye afite umuhoro arimo kuwucyaza cyane.
I found one of our neighbors with a machete and he was sharpening it.
Ndamubwira se kurimo gucyaza umuhoro.
So I asked him, why are you sharpening the machete?
Arambwira ati uwo muhoro nuwo tugiye kubatemesha.
And he told me, we will use the machete to cut you in pieces.
Narazamutse ngeze mu rugo nsanga papa aragiye inka ku irembo.
I went and I found my father with the cows by the compound.
Hanyuma mubwira uko uwo mugabo ambwiye.
I told him how our neighbor had responded.
Arambwira ati buriya nyine nta kundi ibyo nababwiye nibyo tugomba gupfa.
And he said, this is what I told you, we will die.
Byarakomeje ubwo ku itariki 9.
On the 9th,
mbona ibintu bitangiye guhindura isura.
Things started changing.
Mbona hakurya twari tegeye kwa nyogokuru hari mu mpinga mbona batangiye gutwika amazu.
We lived across my grandmother, and on the other side of the hill, I saw that they had started burning houses.
Hanyuma mama aravuga ati iwacu dore iriya myotsi iri guturukayo batangiye kubatwikira.
My mother said they have started burning the houses of our relatives. That's what's happening.
Ku itariki 9,
on the 9th,
tugiye tubona amafirimbi y'induru.
We saw a gang with whistles, shouting, screaming.
Birimo kuvuga mu gace aho ngaho twari dutuye ahantu h'igikombe turi abatutsi.
We lived in a valley place, and the majority of us who lived there were Tutsi.
Twahise tuva mu nzu turagenda tujya ku misozi hejuru tujyana n'inka, ariko nta bintu tuze tujyana. Papa yaravuze ati ni mubyihorere ubwo nyine nitubaho tuzagaruka tubisanga.
So we immediately left our homes and tried to climb upwards the hills. We left everything at home because my father said if we ever leave, if we survive this, we'll come back and get what we left behind.
So nyuma gatoya hari icyo navuze navukanaga n'abana 9 na papa na mama ubwo twari 11.
We were a family of 11, my father, my mother, with the 9 children.
Ababyeyi barapfuye n'abavandimwe ariko nasigaranye abavandimwe 3.
My parents and my other siblings were killed in the genocide. We survived only the 3 of us.
Hanyuma twaragiye tujya aho ngaho ku musozi ahantu bitaga Mununga.
So we went to a hill, a place they called Mununga.
Jya kubona ko ibintu bikomeye hari ubwo abantu bo muri yacu gikombe twateraniye hamwe. Hanyuma hari umusaza n'umukecuru bari bashaje nta nubwo babashaga kureba babatereye intebe ngo bicare.
I remember when we went upwards the hill, all of us from the valley went upwards the hill, and I remember seeing an old man and an old woman who were very, very old, and they had given them seats to sit.
Hanyuma ubwo ngiye kubona tubona ibitero 3 biraje byinshi ariko ubwo batubwiye ati abagore n'abakobwa mufata amabuye mwirwaneho.
And then I saw 3 gangs come to attack us. They had told us that even the girls and the women were to grab stones and throw stones at them to fight for ourselves.
Habajaje igitero cya mbere gifite abantu bakeya akumbi cyari kije gutata ngo kirebe abantu bahari ukuntu bangana turakinesha.
The first gang that came didn't have many people, so we threw stones at them and they fled. But initially they had come to do the numbering, to know who was there and how much effort it would take to kill us all.
Nari mfite musaza wanjye mukuru bajyaga bavuga ngo mwajya mu nkotani ngo akongera akagaruka ngo afite imbunda na grenade.
One of my eldest brothers, they used to call him Ingotanyi, or a member of the RPF, and they used to say that he had a gun and a grenade.
Hanyuma ubwo bitero biza byose bivuga ngo mufate ndekezi ngo afite grenade ngo nimara kumufata ngo abandi bose twabashoboye.
So the other gangs that came, they came specifically looking for him, saying that if you grab Ndekezi, everyone else will fall.
So
at that time, the old man and the old woman who were sitting, they pushed them and hit them with the chairs until they died. They joined us and started killing people.
Noneho mama yari yadufashe afata igitenge ngiye n'abarumuna banje araduhambiranya ngo tutaza kumucika tugendere hamwe.
Immediately my mother grabbed one of her garments and tied us. We were 3 of us and said, I want to keep you close to where I am.
Nimara kubona abo bantu bamaze gupfa nibwo nahise mbona ko ibintu bikomeye nahise nijishura mama ubwo nyine mpita nirukanka mba ndamucitse.
As soon as I saw that the attacks were coming intensely, I untied myself and ran and left the rest behind.
Uwo munsi nibwo mperukana n'ababyeyi banje.
That was the last day I saw my parents.
Twase dupira imishwaro.
We had nowhere to hide.
Hanyuma ngiye narirukanse hari umuntu twari turanye afite umukingo muremure basimbuka nikubita mu rwina yataragamo ibitoki.
There was someone who was nearby who had a banana plantation, and I jumped over it.
Ariko kubw'amahirwe mvamo ndi muzima ntavunitse.
And I survived with no bones broken.
Umugabo yari muri ibyo bitero byaje kwica iwacu ariko umugore nawe wari uri mu rugo wenyine.
So one of the men, the one who owned the banana plantation, was part of the gangs who had come to kill us, but his wife had stayed at home.
Umugabo yaraje avuye muri ibyo bitero.
So when the husband came back from the attack,
ndibuka neza yaje atwaye itako ry'inyama y'inka rifite n'uruhu yatemanye.
He came with one of the legs of a cow that he had killed.
Aba yacimbona itabwira umugore ati kandi wa mugore uzamureshya.
As soon as he saw me, he immediately argued with the wife and said, why would you let this happen?
Ati turimo kwica abatutsi nawe warangiza ukaza kubahisha.
We are killing the Tutsi and you are daring hide one of them.
Ubwo yahisa ansohokana ambwira ati mvira mu rugo noneho ku by'ubwana ndavuga se ubu ngubu ko ababyeyi banjye nababuze uranyirukana nje hehe.
And he immediately said, leave my house. But as a child, I looked at him and I told him, I can't find my parents. Why are you chasing me away? Where should I hide?
Yasubiye mu nzu aragenda azana umuhoro, mbonye umuhoro ubwo narirukanse.
He went back in the house, brought a machete, and as soon as I saw it, I ran for my life.
Ubwo icyo gitero cyiza cyari nko mu saa 8, uwo mugabo azanyirukanye byamaze kuba saa 12 za nimugoroba.
So when they had attacked us, it was around 2 p.m. and it was around 6 p.m. of the same day when I was at his house and he started chasing me with the machete.
Ubwo narakomeje ndatambika ndiruzivuga n'amafirimbi bavuga bati nguwo ngena nihisha.
I ran and they were screaming behind me saying that there she is, catch her, catch her, catch her.
Naragiye ngeze mu ishyamba murani hamwe.
I went to the forest and I met Interahamwe, one of the militia groups,
yari afite umuhoro
who had a machete.
Nararirukanye kubera mu guhunga.
He ran behind me, but because I had been running,
nari nambaye imyenda myinshi ababyeyi batubwiye ngo tuyigerekeranye.
I was wearing many clothes because our parents had asked us to wear all our clothes.
Yankubise umujugujugu w'umuhoro.
He threw the machete towards me.
Kubw'amahirwe kubera ya myenda nari nambaye igerekeranye wa muhoro ufata muri ya myenda noneho nge si wafata ku mubiri ndakomeza ndiruka.
And because I had so many clothes on, the machete was stuck in the clothes, but it never reached my skin, and I kept running.
Narakomeje ndagenda nikubita mu mukoko wari uhari.
I went and I fell in a hole.
Ubwo nari namaze kurenga mu gace k'iwacu nokubita mu kandi gace kandi.
I had moved from our neighborhood and went to another area.
Naragiye njya ku rugo, yari umugabo w'umurokore, nsanga rero abantu barimo gusenga. Arambaza ati nibiki, ndamubwira ntimisha.
I went to our house and one of the people, the person who stayed in that house, he was a Christian, a Pentecostal Christian, and they were praying in his house and he asked me what is happening and I said, please hide me.
Yangiriye neza, yarambwiye ati ngwino nguhishe. Ndagenda njya mu cyumba cy'amasengesho nsangamo harimo abandi bahungu jenoside yabaye barimo gusenga babiri n'umukobwa umwe w'abatutsi, harimo n'abandi babiri none b'abahutu basenganaga.
So I went to the prayer room where they were praying. There was a Tutsi girl and some Tutsi young men and some Hutu men.
Yaraduhishe iminsi 3.
He hid us for 3 days.
Bigeze aho ngaho baza kumenya yuko duhari bavuga ngo nyine bazaza kutwica.
And they eventually came to know that we were hiding there and they said they would come to kill us.
Ubwo b'abahungu b'abahutu bari aho ngaho bahise bagenda bajya iwabo.
The young Hutu men went back to their homes.
Hanyuma baragarutse baravuga bati rero bene wanyu bandi barimo kwambuka bakajya Gitarama niho barimo gukirira. Ati namwe muzaze mujyeyo.
And they came back to see us and they told us other Tutsis are fleeing to Gitarama. It's best that you also flee towards that direction.
Umunsi bari buze kutwica, uwo muhungu umwe twasenganaga yaraje aratubwira ati ntimurara ahangaha kuko bavuze ko baza kubica.
So on the day that they had planned to come and kill us, one of the Hutu young men said that do not spend the night here because it is tonight that they will kill you.
Twarahavuye turi batatu.
We left there, we were 3.
Turakomeza turagenda dushaka kugira ngo turebe ukuntu twakwambuka tujye hakurya Gitarama.
So we kept moving, trying to go towards Gitarama.
Twaragiye,
we walked,
twoga mu mugezi wa Nyamabuye.
We had to swim through the Nyamabuye lake.
Umugezi mutoya.
It's a small river. So
umuhungu umwe aravuga ati ariko atari umuntu nzi dusengana uzi kwambutsa muze tujye kumureba atwambutse.
One of the young men who was with us, who was praying with us, said that I know someone who can help us cross.
Turagiye.
So we went.
Tugera ahantu kera tukiga primaire munsi y'amashuri twajyaga tujya kwigira ibyo gukora imigati.
And we went to a place where back in the day when we were still students, we used to go to this place where they would teach us how to bake.
tuhageze tubona interahamwe nyinshi zari zivuye ahantu hari umupasiteri wari umututsi wasengeraga muri eperi bari baje gushaka abana be ngo babice kubera ko umupasiteri ntaho hari yaragiye hanze.
When we went, we saw a big gang of Interahamwe who had come looking for the children of a pastor from the Presbyterian church. He wasn't there at the time, he had gone abroad, so they came to look for his children to kill them. The Interahamwe saw us and we had to run. I went to hide in the bakery and I couldn't see the others where they had gone. One of the men recognized me and he knew my family. He came looking for me and phoned me in the bakery and hit me with a club in the head. I was wounded, but I didn't die and I kept running. And I ran from him. I went back to the river of Nyamabuye. I met the young men that we had lost each other during the running. And we kept moving so that we reached the place where the person was to help us to cross. We reached there, but we had to keep hiding from the gangs that were coming to kill us. The young men, because they used to pray together with that man, they told him, forgive us, but you are the only one who can save us now. They told him, come and help us cross so that we go to Nyabarongo. So we reached the place where there were sugar canes. And he said that he was going to check out the place because in the evening they would come in. And he was going to help us cross over, but there was no boats, there was nothing to help us cross over. So he said, we can't cross. I think everyone will have to find their own way. So we had to hide in the sugarcane plantation. And they had to let the dogs come to look for us. And they burnt all the sugar canes. So to us, we knew that was the end. We started hearing the Interahamwe with whistles and screams, and since they had burnt down the sugar cane, all the Tutsis who were hiding in that sugar cane plantation had to rise from their hiding. That's when they threw us in the Nyabarongo. But it must have been luck, not to say that we could swim well. I cannot tell you how I reached the other side of the river. I do not know how I reached the other side of the river. But I found myself at the river bank in Gitarama. And all the other people they threw in the river didn't die because the river took us all the way to the bank. But because we had taken in a lot of water, we had to squeeze each other's bellies so that the water comes out.
hanyuma twageze aho kugira itarama kubera iwacu wenda nsubira inyuma gato ntabwo navuze aho mvuka mu cyahoze ari komine Shyorongi.
I didn't introduce where I was born. I was born in a place that was formerly known as Shyorongi.
Ubu na akarere ka Rulindo.
Today it is Rulindo.
Icyo gihe rero hakurya hari komine Rwanda mu yabaye akarere ka Kamonyi.
Across was Rwanda, but today it is known as Kamonyi.
Bari bazi ko rero cyahoze ari komine Shyorongi ari Emerenide, hanyuma hakurya ari Emuderi.
So parties had divided those places. On this side it was MRND and the other side was MDR, the political parties of that time.
Icyo gihe duhunga bari batari basobanukirwa bazi ko ari amashyaka ari gusubiranamo Emerenide irimo kwica abantu batari Emerenide abaye Emuderi.
So when we were fleeing, people were initially confused, thinking that it is the members of the political parties that were fighting each other. So we said that we were running from MRND, the political party, because we belong to MDR. But the following day we came to understand that actually the Hutus were killing Tutsis. It was not a political party problem. So they started chasing us, saying that we kept you thinking that you are Hutus, but we know that you're Tutsis. The place we had spent the night was a place where the friends of the young men who were with me lived. So as I go quickly, we left that place.
Narakomeje ngewe ubwo igitero cyarandita kidutandukanya nibuka yuko mfite bene wacu irukomo.
The gang came and separated us because everyone was running for their lives, and I remember that I had a family in Rukoma.
Naragiye ngeze aho kwa bene wacu.
I reached where my relatives lived.
Naharaye ijoro rimwe nsanga umugabo waho I
went and I found the mother of the house and the children. The father was working in Kigali, so he wasn't home. And this lady said, come, they have killed your father. Come and let us be together. If they kill us, they should kill all of us together. I told the children who are my age, I told them, let's run. Even me, I have reached here because I've been running. We don't have to stay here. The mother refused to let them go, and I refused to stay, so I kept running and they stayed behind. And as soon as I left, a gang came and massacred all of them, and no one survived. I kept running. I remembered that I have an auntie who lived in a place called Gachurabgenge. She was married to a Hutu man. When I reached there, and this old man said, come and stay here. When they come to kill your auntie, they should kill the two of you together. I spent the night, and then another gang came to kill us. This group came to kill this old woman, my auntie. And as soon as I heard the attackers come, I ran for my life, and immediately then they started killing my auntie. I heard her screams as I was running. I ran to the house of my cousin who was living across the house. And And my cousin said, run, they will kill all of us if you stay. They have decided to kill all of you. You shouldn't stay here and get all of us killed.
narazamutse ndara mu ishyamba ryari aho ngaho, imvura iranyagira ndaharara.
I went and I spent the night in the forest that was nearby.
Ku munsi ukurikiyeho ndongera kundi munsi ndahirirwa.
I spent there whole day.
Ku munsi wa gatatu inzara irambye, ndavuga ngo reka ngaruke wenda bampe ibiryo nisubire muri rya shyamba.
And on the third day I said, let me come back and ask for food, then I'll go back and hide in the forest.
Ngezeyo barongera baranyirukana bati genda ntabwo tugushaka aho ngaho.
And when I went back, they chased me. They said, go, we do not want you here.
Narakomeje ndagenda bangeze aho bita ubu ni Kayenzi ngire ngo.
I kept moving. I went to Kayenzi.
Nasanga bariyeri y'interahamwe nyinshi cyane.
I found a roadblock with many interahamwe.
Yandenda nari nambaye kubera ukuntu yari nyinshi nayo nyigerekeranije, bakajya bambwira bati manika amaboko uvuge power.
And I was still wearing all those clothes, so when they saw me, they told me, raise your hand and keep chanting, power, power, power.
Bakajya bambwira bati ubwo ntabwo uri umututsi.
And they said, you are not a Tutsi.
Banyaka ibyangombwa ndavuga njye nta byangombwa afite.
They asked for my documents, my ID. I didn't have my ID.
Ndavuga ngo se nta masasu ufite.
They asked me, do you have bullets?
Ndavuga nta masasu ufite.
I told them I don't have bullets.
Barambwira bati izi ni za nyenzi turimo kurwana nazo.
And they said, these are the cockroaches that we are fighting.
Ndavuga njyewe ntabwo ndi umututsi. Bakambwira ati se ubu ngubu urabona usa natwe.
And I told them I'm not a Tutsi. And they said, do you look like us? Do you think you look like us?
Ndavuga njyewe ndi umuhutu.
I told them I'm a Hutu.
Papa ni umuhutu ariko mama ni umututsi, njye nsa na mama.
I told them my father is a Hutu, my mother is a Tutsi. I look like my mother. There was an interahamwe who had shoes on. He had a sword. And he said, I have just used this sword to kill your relatives. And I'm about to do the same to you. One of the interahamwe said, this is a young girl, leave her. Let her sit here and wait for us to kill her after we have finished killing all her relatives. So I sat by the roadblock. They left two interahamwes to keep watch over me. Then there came a woman, she was a wife to a policeman. And she said, you have killed for so long. This is a child. Leave her alone. So she asked one of the militiamen to come, that she would send him to get cigarettes for her. And the other one, I don't know what she asked him to do. And she said she would stay with me and watch that I stay there. And she said, young girl, I feel sorry for you. That interahamwe will certainly kill you because he has killed so many people. And she said, go down this hill and just run. And I said, I do not know the way, so where should I go? And she said, young girl, you will ask for the way, just run for your life. So I ran down the valley. I found so many Tutsis. It is in Gachurabwenge. Yeah, I can see that place now. They had killed them. Some were crying out for water, asking me for water, and I didn't have water. I couldn't help them, so I kept jumping over the bodies. I went all the way to Kamonyi.
urugo rw'umututsi bamaje gutwika.
When I reached in Kamonyi, I saw a house of a Tutsi that they had just burnt.
Nsanga abagore n'abakobwa barimo gushungera.
I saw women watching over what was happening.
Nasanze igihugu kimeze nk'ikigoryi.
And I found a man who looked like he was mentally ill.
Abagore bakajya bavuga bati tuguhe umugore.
And they were saying, let's give you a wife among these.
And
he kept saying, I do not need a wife. One of the girls saw me. One of the women who were watching what was happening. And she said, young girl, come over here. I want to tell you something. And she said, are you a Tutsi girl? I never said I was Tutsi. I said I'm not a Tutsi. I had changed my story, and at this point I was telling them that I was fleeing from Kigali, fleeing from the Inkotanyi, the RPA soldiers, and I was going to my grandfather's house. That area, I knew it so well because my brother, the one I told you about, had married a girl from that area. It was around 6 p.m. So she took me to her family home and said, you will stay here and then tomorrow morning you will keep moving. When I reached there, because of the long journey and the exhaustion, she showed me where to sleep and I immediately slept. I forgot about the death and everything that I had seen. And her father, unbeknown to me, was one of the leading Interahamwe in that area. So he had gone to work. When they would go out to kill people, they would call it going out to work. When her father returned, she came and woke me up and told me, come and greet my father. I went to the living room and found her father seated with a machete and a club. And immediately when he saw me, he scolded his daughter and said, we are killing the Inkotanyi and you're bringing one of them to my house. So he looked at me and asked me, are you Tutsi? I told him I'm not a Tutsi, I'm Hutu. And he looked at me and said, do you think your nose looks like the nose of Hutus? I told him my nose is similar to that of my mother. She's Tutsi, but my father is Hutu. So he looked at me and said, I have killed so many people today. I'm very tired. I cannot kill you. Tomorrow early morning, rise and leave. He sent me away. It was late. I started asking myself where I was going to head. I didn't know this place. So when I reached the compound, the daughter came. And she called me and said, come, my father has gone to sleep, but I sleep in the house that is outside. I'll keep you for tonight, then you will go tomorrow morning. She took me to the house and I slept. In the morning when I woke up, I woke up before the father woke up and I kept running. So I asked her, what is the way that will lead me to... I used to go there by car. I didn't know the place on foot.
yanyeretse inzira
She showed me the way.
ngera ahantu bita mu Gashyushya.
I reached a place called Mugashyushya.
Sanga interahamwe nyinshi ugira ngo ni nk'isoko ryaremye.
And I found many in Interahamwe. You would think it's a market.
Barangije baramfata.
Then they took me.
Interahamwe
They took me.
Narabiributse. Nikubita amaso mu kingo.
And I fell.
Hanyuma barana kunacuramye.
Because I had fell upside down. Another Interahamwe came and hit me with a club at the back, and I felt like a dead person. They left me there thinking I was dead. When they left, I kept running. I kept moving. When I reached another roadblock, they asked me, "Where are you going, young girl?" As I had told them, as I told you, my brother who lived in Mugina had been married and his wife was a Hutu woman.
Ubwo nyine natangiye kujya mvuga ko ngiye kwa sogokuru nkavuga ngo yitwa Muhinde, ubwo ni kwa sebukwa musaza wanjye.
And I kept saying I'm going to my grandfather's house, but in actual sense he was the father-in-law of my brother who was a Hutu man.
Iyo bariyeri rero ntabwo nari nzi ko umuntu uyiriho yari yatunze ubwonko bw'umugore uvindimwe n'uwa musaza wanjye.
Now what I didn't know is that at that roadblock was an Interahamwe who was married to the sister of my brother's wife, or my sister-in-law.
Arambwira ati urumuzukuru urumumukobwa wande ko mbazi.
And he said, "Who do you belong to? Because I know all the grandchildren of this household."
Nahise mubwira muramukazi wanjye.
I told him my sister-in-law.
Arambwira turabeshya atabana we ni batoya atahubwo muramukazi batugura umututsi.
And he said, "You are lying because all her children are very young, so you must be her sister-in-law. That means you are a Tutsi woman."
Nahise mbona ko yamenye.
I immediately saw that he had recognized me.
Arangije arambwira ati ugiye kwa Muhinde n'abagumya guhisha abatutsi ko muramukazi wawe yagezeyo n'abana be ati ubwo ngubwo baragumya bahisha abatutsi ko mumaze kuba benshi.
So he said, "How are you going to Muhinde's house, that particular person, because they have hidden so many Tutsi and we know that you're going to become too many in one place."
Nsubiye inyuma gato umusaza wanjye tukiri iwacu yaje kubwira umugore.
My brother had told his wife.
Aramubwira ati njyewe ndagiye uzajyana abana banjye nimubaho tuzahura.
So he had told his wife, "I'm go and hide our children. If you survive, we will meet again."
Yaje kumbwira uwo mugabo wa mukuru wa muramukazi wanjye.
So this man who was married to the sister of my sister-in-law told me.
Yarambwira ati genda nabo barakwiyicira rwose ngiye sinkwishe.
He said, "I will let you go. I'm sure they will kill you themselves."
Narakomeje ndagenda ubwo none mbageze aho ngaho kwa wabo wa muramukazi wanjye.
So I kept moving and went to the family home of my sister-in-law.
Yari afite basaza b'Interahamwe.
Her brothers were in the Interahamwe militia.
Ambonye aravuga ati noneho urugo rwacu rwaba rw'abatutsi.
When he saw me, he said, "Now our home has become a home of the Tutsi."
Yarambwira ati noneho wenda kwiyiciye ataba abana nabaretse ko bakari abakobwa ati wenda kwica.
So he looked at me and said, "I have let these children go because they are girls, but for you I will kill you myself."
Arambaza ati musaza wawe ari hehe ari we muramuwe.
So he asked for my brother, who was his brother-in-law.
Ndamubwira ntabwo nzi ahantu ari.
And I said I do not know where my brother is.
Arambwira ati naramukaje wenda mwiyicira.
And he said if he comes here I'll kill him myself.
Mamukaza wanjye akimbona.
As soon as my sister-in-law saw me,
yaravuze ati none ndagushyira ariko n'abana bagiye kubanyicana.
And she said, where will I hide you, because they even want to kill my children.
Musaza we yaragiye azana igitero.
The brother went and brought an attack group.
Aravuga ati muze mumpurire inkotanyi ahangaha.
And said, come and take the inkotanyi from this place.
Mamukazi wanjye yahise ajya kumpisha mu rutoki.
My sister-in-law immediately went to hide me in the banana plantation.
Cya gitero cyaraje gisanga ntahari.
And when the attack group came, it didn't find me there.
Hanyuma musaza we yarongeye aragaruka.
The brother came back.
Kundi munsi ukurikiyeho.
The following day.
Ni ishusho ntashobora kuzibagirwa.
I can never forget what my eyes saw.
Iteka igaruka mu maso yanjye.
Because this image always comes back in my mind.
Yazanye umwana w'imyaka 5.
He brought a child of 5 years.
W'umututsi.
A Tutsi child.
That's
how I saw that they had wicked hearts. There is a place that they used to sharpen their weapons. He bound the 5-year-old child. I remember this child begging for his life. And he told the child, I'm going to kill you. He took the machete and cut the child by the throat. And the child immediately died.
When he
was killing this child, I was seeing it. And he said, the way I've just killed this child, when I come back, this is what I will do to you. I told my sister-in-law, I told her, I am afraid of a machete. Let me run. And she told me, she said, I can't do anything about it. I don't want you to die in front of my eyes. I kept moving. I went to the Mugina. And she said there are other Tutsis. I went to the parish. One of the local leaders of that area. He was called Ndagijimana Kaliste. I don't know if he was Hutu or Tutsi, but he used to be a good local leader. He held the meeting. And he said, at this point, fight for your lives. They want to kill all of you. Try to fight for your lives. So when we were having a meeting, there came an attack group and we fought back and they ran. They asked him to go to a meeting to see the prefect of that district. They killed him at the border. And the day they killed him is the day they killed all of us. They killed him at the roadblock. We went to the church. And the priest who was there said, this is the time for you to repent your sins and prepare yourselves for death.
ati umunsi wawe wageze.
Because your day of death has come.
Interahamwe zinjiye mu kiliziya.
The Interahamwe came in the church.
Ziratemagura abana, zirica abakuru.
They killed everyone from the children to the elderly, killing them with machetes.
Naje kujya mu mirambo.
I was in the dead bodies.
Ndyama hejuru abakirongo zihorahoze.
The Interahamwe would come and kick the bodies to see if they could find any living people left so that they would kill all of them off.
Bambonye bagira ngo napfuye.
When they saw me, they thought I was dead.
Abasohokagamo abasirikare barabarasaga.
And if anyone tried to run from the dead bodies, there were soldiers outside who would quickly shoot you.
Ngeze nijoro nasohotse muri ya mirambo.
At night, I left the bodies.
Naragiye hari igiti cy'umunyinya kigandaye gihari hanze.
There was a big tree outside.
Nuriye cya giti cy'umunyinya nicaramo.
And I climbed the tree and sat in the tree branches.
Niriwemo.
I spent the whole day.
Kugeza nijoro ndibaza ndavuga nti bazagera aho bambone.
And at night I thought to myself, they will eventually see me in the tree branches.
Naje kuvamo njya mu Masaka.
I left and went to the sorghum plantation.
Maramo iminsi 3.
I spent 3 days. I saw that there was no other place to run to. And I went back to my sister-in-law's house. When I reached there, her brother saw me again and said that cockroaches never die. I thought you had died with your relatives. Now you have come back. I lived a very difficult life. I was tortured, gravely tortured. The mother of my sister-in-law would tell me to go and collect firewood. Collect firewood from the houses of Tutsis. And when I would go to collect firewood, at the time the Imotanyi had started reaching that area, they shot at me. And I said, God, I'm going to be killed by my relatives, my brothers. So I came back with no firewood. And she said, you have come empty-handed, and the people who were shooting at you are your relatives. I said, they were shooting at me. And her son, the brother to my sister-in-law, said, you shouldn't survive this night by all means. He went and brought an attack group from Rwanda in a place called Rugarika. I was down at the bottom. And I was sitting in the living room. Then a woman who was going to fetch water passed by. She came and told my sister-in-law. And she said, there is an attack group coming to kill your sister-in-law. My sister-in-law said, leave this house and go and hide behind the house. I said, I'll go and hide under the rock. And she said, my brother knows that that's where you are likely to hide, so that's where they'll come looking for you. I went and hid behind the house. It was the time of the harvest of coffee beans. There were beans. I hid in the beans and the coffee plantation.
boherejemo amacumu munsi y'urutara barambura.
So when they threw in spears under the rock, they couldn't see me because I wasn't hiding there.
Bagaruka kunshaka muri za kawa.
They came to look for me in the coffee plantation.
Interahamwe imwe yanyereye ku kirenge rwose numva igiye kumbona.
One of the interahamwe slid by my feet and I thought he had seen me.
Ariko bahita babona inka hakurya bari bakurikiye ntibambona.
But they saw cows and decided to chase after the cows and they left me.
Nabonye bagiye.
When I saw them run,
ndavuga nti buriya bwabuze isoni nagako gasanga mpari none haranyica.
And I said, if the brother comes back, his name was Zisoni, he will definitely kill me himself. So I didn't go back. I kept moving. The Inkotanyi had come in that area. And I ran with the Hutus who were running away from the Inkotanyi. We were heading towards Nyabichenye. When I reached Kayenzi, when they asked for my documents, my ID, I didn't have it. And they said, we are moving with the Inkotanyi. They said, sit there. I sat. I saw that they were asking for documents from the others and I quickly ran and joined another group. I kept running. I was headed to Nyabichenye. When I reached Nyabichenye, I went to fetch water to drink. When I reached a place where they were fetching water, I saw young men and they said, this is another Inkotanyi who is with us. They took me. One of the Interahamwe slapped me. And they told me, sit there, we will take you where your brothers are at the Parliament building. They took me a place where there was a big pit and they were throwing people in the pit. When I reached there, they asked me to say my final words and then they would throw me. I would jump in the pit by myself. And something told me, instead of jumping in the pit by yourself, you can still run. And if they catch you, let them kill you, but at least you will have run. I ran and joined another group of people. And I was very tired and I said, I'm not going to run anymore. If I meet the Inkotanyi and they are killing people, let them kill me, but I'm not running anymore. I returned and went back to Kayenzi as I was heading home. There are some faces I see I can never forget. I saw soldiers in the ex-FAR army. I saw a man that they had made sit. They were saying he is Inkotanyi. They took me and sat me down next to him. And they said, we will not waste any more bullets. These ones we will stone. They took this man and bound him. They bound him and they started stoning him, and with each stone blood would spurt and he would cry out. And they would say snakes do not die easily. We have been stoning him for so long and he's not dying. And they would keep stoning him. And the soldiers, and they said, leave this girl behind, we will kill her last. Because some were fleeing and others were returning. And they would say those from Gitarama are returning, so they're going back home. They must be Tutsi. I don't know how I ran from them. And I took the road to Rukoma. When I reached to Rukoma, I am married with children. I even have a grandchild. God has blessed me. I am well. And I thank God for that. The message I would give the youth, please do not engage in the politics that led to the genocide, but work towards building peace and building their lives. As I conclude, I want to thank a person who really helped us, Muhammad Tobani, that God used, and he saved the bodies of our loved ones. And today we have a place to commemorate the lives of our loved ones. I always had pain because I didn't know where to commemorate the lives of my loved ones. But when I come here to remember them, I cry and I rest. And I go back home with peace. May God bless him. I want to thank I want to appreciate the High Commissioner, His Excellency, who always comes to commemorate with us.